live. How goes it?
Not too bad. Today is January 6th. This is episode 24 or 25.
I don't know. I didn't check.
It's something like that. It's way more than I thought it was.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, when did we start this?
March or no? Was it March? That was like the hidden files, the learning how to do this whole thing.
I thought it was really good back then, too. Like, I was like, oh man, it sounds really good. Oh man, the quality's great. Oh, this is awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And then I listened to it later. It's like, God, that was terrible.
But you learn. You learn from it. So
That was awesome.
I don't know. That's cool.
A lot cheaper.
Yeah, yeah,
It was a lot less
lot
money
cheaper.
in equipment back then.
Yeah. I would agree. But now that we've kind of got everything here, it's
I think that the things that people don't realize when you do a podcast is that you have to get the banners made to put behind yourself that say Heaven Quest.
yeah.
I mean, that banner was $10,000 to $15,000. I think, which is the banners, and I don't know if they can see the camera, but there's an LED strip as if we're in some teenage girl's bedroom and running around to make it look really, really nice, or like a cheap strip club. I don't know, but yeah. So this set. These here is also from Walmart. So very, very, very expensive stuff here that we use. So it's very
I've never been to a strip club though, so I wouldn't know.
you've never been to a strip club?
No, never.
Well, guess what? This is what it looks like inside a strip club. If you ever wanted to know what it looks like, it's kind of like this. At least in the shadier environments.
Okay.
Those are some natural ones.
That's all good.
Yeah, no,
I
this,
mean, I don't.
they're definitely not selling the atmosphere there. That's not really the goal. So they don't spend a lot of time on that. So things you can quickly remove and wash.
That's just gross.
So yeah, no, it's changed a lot. We started at the workshop because you wanted it to look real,
Yeah,
and it was real because
Yeah.
in the workshop.
for sure.
And everybody foo-fooed the workshop idea,
Well,
and then we had one
I
mic,
think we just ran out of
and
space.
the mic didn't work well.
Well, we
No,
were trying to
because
share the
you
mic.
had the mic, and then you bought the board
Yeah, and they didn't match.
at like a yard sale or something. So you bought the board because I remember you had it in your lap and you were trying to like figure out how to use it.
Yeah,
And it's like color coded like a child's game.
it is.
So it is literally kind of like bopping or something. Like you just
Yeah.
press buttons and it makes noises.
Yeah, Simon Says would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do 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 do. Was that Simon Says?
That was
with the
Simon
three
Says.
colors?
Yeah, four colors.
My
but yeah.
grandmother used to have my grandparents' house. They had one in the bed that I guess was from like when my dad was a kid or something. I don't know.
Right.
And that thing was so old, but I remember that. Bop, 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 bop,
Oh yeah.
bop, bop, bop,
Hours of
bop.
entertainment.
And that's basically what that board looks like.
It does. It does.
I mean, it's a little more complicated. There's more wires from the back of it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like that. And it's
Yeah.
all, I mean, because that's kind of the idea, the simpler you make it, the more easy it is
Yeah.
to use. But that's how we started that. And
Yeah.
that microphone that you bought that was not for what we wanted.
Right. I still have it.
Did you?
Yeah, I use it at work.
Today.
Yeah, I use it when I do like work calls and stuff. I have
Well,
it.
I see that like gamer people use that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
They just drop it in front of them when they're using.
Yeah.
Not quite.
I was gonna give it to a guy. We're gonna trade work for. He was gonna do some work for us, and then I was gonna give him that mic, and come to find out he had some pretty significant life issues going on, so he couldn't help us. But yeah, no, I still got it. Works. It's fantastic mic,
I mean, it worked.
but it's not like
It
this.
just didn't work well. Well, that was also like spring loaded. It would shoot up in the middle of using it.
It was terrible.
It was weird. It was all this podcast stuff's really weird.
And then I remember you had to put it in a vise to get the thing to screw in. You remember that?
Yeah, it was all cross-eyed
Like
from the
they're-
factory. So we
yeah.
like cram it in there.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, we had a lot of shady stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have a cool table. Now we got a cool table. I'm working on it.
It still would be nice to table if it was steam.
I think I have a way to fix it.
My countertops. That's what making around
Well, yeah,
for the new house. Yeah,
Yeah.
We're making just out of butcher's block.
that's the best way to
It
do
looks
it.
really cool.
Yep.
It's not that expensive. The only tricky part is when you do the corners.
Yeah.
And I watch some guys that do they take routers on the bottom
hmm
and build it with like wedges and it connects with the
Yep.
positive pressure. Looks really cool.
This is butcher block anyway. But yeah, that's what I actually built a table just like this for my son in his room, and it turned out fantastic. And so the legs on that are not wobbly or shaky or anything like that. But this one is a lot better.
Well, there's not a whole lot of leg to it either.
No, no.
It's
but-
not like you had like a lot of options. You just kind of had what you
I had
had.
what
I
I
came
had.
in and you were like building a table. I was like,
Yep, here we go.
okay, you have a table.
Yeah, we got one leg over there that's like stripped out. We got to fix that. But
Well, we don't have a lot of options
No.
size of the room wise where we need it, but we needed a bigger table.
oh yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of tricky. I don't know.
Oh,
It's-
I
it
think
is
this
what
one
it is.
fits though.
I think it'd be neat. I think over time we gotta figure out the walls and stuff and start putting some stuff up and maybe
We need to.
another
I told you.
$15,000 banner.
I told you need to put Davis Guns and Gear over there. Get your banner, put it up there. We'll have the Hunting Quest behind me, Davis Guns and Gear behind you, and then obviously when the weather gets a little bit better, we'll finish this table off. Make it look
I
nice.
wanted to put the Davis Guns of Gear on up.
Yeah.
I just don't know why we didn't do it. I forgot.
You didn't have one. You got to get one made.
Well, no, I don't know why I didn't just do it. They're not that complicated to me. I'm just not super
Yeah,
hard to do.
I forgot who I got to do this one, but I'm actually going to work with Percival Flag guy and get him to do one of his hardboard stuff for this one. So that's going to be kind of cool.
Did you talk to him?
I did. I haven't. We hadn't finalized on stuff. I was gonna kind of get it all done right before the end of this year, and then Friday before Christmas, I wound up with COVID, and then that turned into a sinus infection, and then that turned into a upper respiratory infection, and I think my wife swears up and down that I've got pneumonia. So,
So
but he's got. Yeah, I was gonna
I
do that. and I just
still
forgot.
have a little bit of cough from.
Do you? Like dry cough?
You just like annoying like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do anything. I don't know what it's for.
Yeah.
Like a smoker's cough. Like when I used to smoke, I would have that kind of cough.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that now. So I should just start smoking again.
I noticed. No. So I noticed Anna still got her cough too. Then.
Well, so she got sick. She had a cough, and it never went away. And then she got sick again. She's just a perpetual cough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You asked my wife. It's pneumonia set in. So.
I think pneumonia is your cough out fluid.
I think pneumonia is when you don't cough up fluid. I thought.
No, what I'm saying is it's the fluid's in your lungs.
Yeah.
So once you cough the fluid out of your lungs,
Oh.
it's like, oh, I have pneumonia, or when you can't breathe because your lung capacity is less because it's full of water,
Yeah.
or other stuff that will
Mm.
consult a doctor.
Yeah. We're not
Don't
doctors.
listen to me.
Don't listen to me.
Dial 911.
Yeah.
If
You
have
can't
an
breathe. You
erection-
probably need to go.
If you have an erection for more than 4 hours, call a doctor. Did you ever see?
So much for this one being kid friendly.
Did you ever see that was a line for the 4-year-old virgin when he
Yes.
calls and they go, oh my god, when did you take the Viagra? He's like, I didn't take the Viagra. He's like, what do you call us for? So,
Oh God.
that was really funny.
Oh. So I missed last week because I was sick.
We talked about trapping.
Yeah, I heard. Well, I didn't listen yet. Believe it or not, I was in bed for like a week straight, and I really felt pretty terrible. And so I didn't listen. I didn't do anything. I just kind of tried to feel better. So
Yeah, we just discussed some trapping stuff.
it's cool. I like him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, we did. We talked about some different misconceptions
Yeah.
that people believe. Like a big one that he was talking to us about was Anna is always big on possums eat ticks.
Yeah.
And that you shouldn't kill possums because they eat ticks. And he was like, absolutely not. Possums do not eat ticks. He said they eat ticks off of themselves, but they don't go around and eat ticks on the ground.
Yeah.
And
Well, they
they've done-
collect a lot of ticks though.
They've done a bunch of studies about it,
Yeah.
and that they're not. And he was saying like the diseases they carry and stuff. And I was like, well, I thought they don't carry rabies, because of warmer. And he was explaining all this other stuff like that. It was kind of interesting. We did talk about that story that you had heard.
Which one?
About the coyotes.
Oh yeah.
And that
Yes.
story, and I
Yeah.
had told him that I thought it was fake. And he was saying that he had heard a similar thing that said that before too.
Yep.
Not necessarily that they just go and eat when one's missing and they lose them,
Mhm.
but that they produce more pups or something,
Yep.
and that there is some logic to that.
Yep.
Because a lot of people say, well, if that's the logic, then why would you kill them? They're going to have more babies. We talked a little bit about that too, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he was saying it's a lot of foxes right now.
Yeah.
He said no coyotes really, a lot of foxes.
Yeah. Well, I can hear the coyotes up on my house. So.
We've got a lot of foxes around the house. And it got charged by a fox the other night.
No way.
I don't think it was on purpose. So one of the stupid dog walks off in the middle of the night and won't come back. Turns out it was like right behind the house, just was doing something, didn't want to listen to us. So we're walking around the edge of the property all the way around. I'm like way back in the corner,
Right.
way in shorts. It's cold, sticky stuff everywhere. And I'm walking around, and I come back up, and Anna's sitting on the four wheeler. Why she didn't drive the four wheeler, I don't know. But she walks up and she says that she shined her lights and saw eyes. Something gray just started running towards her.
Oh boy.
And she said it got like 5 feet from her, stopped. It was a fox. It was like, oh. And then
Whoops.
turned and ran off. So
Yeah,
I was like,
that's not dinner.
I was like, what was it doing? She said, I don't know what it was thinking. So
I thought that was gonna be meal.
it just ran off and it saw her. So we have a bunch over there. So
Wow.
there's always a bunch of foxes.
Gray foxes or red foxes or both.
Some purples.
Yeah.
Some grays, reds, purples. just the red fox. We don't really have anything else.
That's
I've never
cool.
seen a gray. Well, that was like the gray that she saw. I don't know the gray fox. I think she just saw gray
Right. Yeah.
running into what I mean a red. I've never seen grays up there unless they're like juvenile.
Yeah.
Where they have that weird like
Yep.
brindly color to
Yep.
them. You know what I mean?
They're cool. We had one that it was a kid, and he wound up getting stuck in our. I mean, he was little, and he got stuck in some netting that we had up for our chickens. And here's this little pup, and my wife's over there. You know, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, so we get some welding gloves and get the thing unstuck out of the net, and she gets it and winds up. We turned it loose at the nature preserve or something. I don't know, but.
I mean, they're really inquisitive.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
neat,
those
and
are
they were like super soft. I mean, like the little ones, they were so soft. So it was cool.
I watched the thing about platypus.
Oh, the duckbills,
Yeah,
those things are
and
cool.
If they were talking about the plural for platypus, and it wasn't.
Platypi.
I think it was. I don't remember what it was, but then like there was a group of platypus or something. Damn, I wish I remembered it because they were all kinds of weird. They were talking about the males having the barbs in
Right.
the back, but females don't have barbs. I thought
Right.
it was both of them. It was
No, it's just the male. I knew that one.
just the males,
Yeah.
and they were letting them around and swimming around. They were filming. They make all kinds of funny little noises. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super cool.
Those
Super,
things are
super
really
cool.
really neat. I think that I've never actually seen one like
Oh, yeah,
in real life, but I think that'd be cool to see.
I don't even know where they're from. Australia?
I think so.
Yeah, I've never seen one in real life. Obviously, a zoo or anything. No.
Yeah, no, never.
Just videos, and not even many videos.
Yeah, not many.
And I think wild videos. I've seen a couple of people were like, "Wow, we actually got a video of a wild one."
Yeah.
All the videos I've ever seen, they were like in captivity.
Yeah, I'll have to check out the Nat Geo page and see.
They're really, really neat.
Yeah.
Because they don't make any sense.
Yeah, no, not at all.
They defy all logic.
Yeah.
So it's a mammal.
Yep.
Looks like a mammal.
Right.
It's got a bill like a duck,
Right.
but it lays eggs.
Yeah.
There's
It's classified as a mammal.
only 2 mammals that lay eggs, I think.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
so
we kind of
weird.
classified that one wrong, I think.
But I think that shows you right there that how weird stuff is. Like you
Oh, yeah.
never know what it's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
It is some of the stuff they pull off the bottom of the ocean. Oh, somebody had caught. I wish I'd taken pictures of these things I saw. Somebody caught a fish somewhere. They were on a boat. And they caught the fish and they brought up. And I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're skinny. They're about that tall and they're super shiny. They look like silver.
Okay.
And they're really thick.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
flop around.
Yeah.
At Ocean City last time we were down, they were catching like crazy. They were
Yeah.
eating them, the bigger ones. And the little ones, they were cutting. For years, they didn't catch much, but they caught much. So first, it looked like one of those, but bigger. And the guy was like, "Oh my God, that's so rare! I can't believe you caught that."
It's called an oar, I
And
think.
so it kind of looks like an oarfish,
Yeah.
but much smaller because an oar is like 15
they're
feet
huge,
long.
Yeah.
But they're like an oarfish kind of, but more like faster looking. You know,
Okay.
oars to look slow.
Yeah.
And he grabbed it and he pulled it up, and it had a sailfin on it,
No way.
and it looked like a sailfish that didn't have a point, and it had a big mouth on it full of teeth.
Hey, watch out! There's a mic
And
there.
it was really cool. So that's why I always think about like duckbill stuff, and like you never know where to pull it out of the ocean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they're finding all kinds of.
2/3 of the
crazy
world's
stuff down
covered
there.
by water. You know,
I tell you,
we-
there's a show right now about the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched that?
No.
Okay, so there's a show I think it's on Discovery. It's about the Bermuda Triangle, and they're talking about how things go missing there, all different
Yeah.
logic, and it's pretty open ended. But they were saying is that there's tons of wrecks out there, but
Yeah.
very few of them are charted. So
Right.
like they know where they're at from fishermen and losing nets, and that there's something down there, but they don't know what they are because most of them haven't dived on.
Right.
Because you've got the Gulf current going right through
Yep.
there,
That's a.
and it's really
it's
deep.
really really deep, and it's
So
really hard.
what they do is they're going out this team and they're diving on all of these wrecks
Oh really?
to try to document them,
That's cool.
to try to figure out all these missing planes and ships like that and stuff like
Those
that.
guys gotta be. They gotta have a screw loose to
I'll
dive
tell
there.
you what, it is really, really cool. And every time they go down, they're finding stuff. It's so neat.
Oh yeah.
And they went down and they were looking for a ship that had gone down, big ship, bomber ship, like World War II time. And they found it. They thought they found it. They're going through it. They were way over on the other side. And they go down. And they're like, there's like a brick wall down here. And they're like fanning it. They're looking at it. Like, I don't know what it is. And he's like, no, it's not brick. It's like aerospace. It's something. This is some kind of aircraft piece. They're like, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't go to the ship. Like it's
Right.
way different. They're like, I've seen something like this before, but I don't know where I've seen it. Because they're talking, because they're that deep water.
Yeah.
So they're mic back and forth talking. And he's like, can you get me, whatever. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, short story, long story short. It's part of the show blew up.
No way.
Way out of place, way nowhere where it should have been at, way far away from the triangle.
Oh, that's cool.
How neat is that? And then they found, you remember, yeah, I wish I did not plan on talking about this. So there was a bunch, like 6 Navy planes that took off and went out and disappeared, never came back.
Yep. They were the Corsairs.
I think. But so they went out in this period, and then they sent out after them recovery seaplanes. 2 went out, never came back either.
Yep.
They found one of them,
No way.
and it went off course. It went like north and up, and that's where they found it. They're like 90% sure. They haven't 100% idea that that's what it was.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, how cool is that? And they were saying it's just nobody dives these things.
Well, I mean, so I'm a diver, right? And one of the things you have to think about in that area, number one, it's super deep, right? But number two, the current is a sustained 6-knot current,
So what they're doing is they're diving off the map.
right?
And when they go down, when they let off, they have different buoys on them to mark different things.
Yeah.
So like when something's going on, the challenge, we're
Yep.
coming up. And then what they do is they put with the up buoy, they pop it, and then the boats drift with the buoy.
Yeah, it's called a drift dive.
because they've got to time it, so they drift with it.
Yep.
And I was like, that's really smart because
Oh, yeah.
that you know where they're at, you know where they're coming, but you're also giving them the time and they're going with the current.
Yep.
So it's really interesting because there was a point where they'd gone down, and they were looking at the ship, and 2 guys were here, one guy just got to mose it off. Just got out of the zone and lost them, and they couldn't see because the visibility was only like 4 feet.
Right.
So they couldn't see each other, and they're trying to find each other, so they're shining lights around and trying the lights around. And he's like, we're at 6 minutes. We've got 4 minutes left.
Yep.
He was like, pop it, we got an issue. And
Yep.
they send a buoy up, and the guys sometimes like, they got something going on, and then they're like, whatever color codes they have.
Yep.
And then he was waiting, and they're like, soon we gotta go.
Yep.
They're like, we gotta leave him. Like he's gonna come up on his own, and we're
Yep.
gonna have to figure out where he's at.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't want to come up on our own because he can wind up here or here. He's way over there.
Yep.
And then finally he popped around the corner. He's like, I don't know. I went to look at the front. You guys were gone. So it's really, really, really neat. And then I saw that show, Curse of Oak Island. Okay, so that's kind of a hokey show. It's about Nova Scotia. There was I guess years like in the 1800s or whatever, 1700s. There was some boys were out there on this island,
Right.
and they found an indentation in the island, and it looked like somebody buried something there before.
Sure.
So they went and started digging, and then every 10 feet they found pine boards, and then at 100 feet they found stone inscribed with a language that said, at another 100 feet there's 400 pounds of something or whatever. And it's supposed to be a big treasure story. People have been trying forever to try to do it, and it's a really cool story.
Right.
Because everybody's tried, like all these people. I think even Teddy Roosevelt had part of it himself, trying to
Okay,
figure it
that's
out.
kind of cool.
And of course, no one ever. They find little trinkets, but nobody's ever found the actual gold. Just because supposedly there's gold down there, or it's the Ark of the Covenant. All these different theories they have.
Okay.
So they have all these theories on it, and now it's become this Discovery Channel show.
Okay.
So every commercial, they're like, "Oh my God, we found something," and it's like Dove shampoo is great for you. Anyway, like, they come in like, "We found an antique screw." And you're like, "This sucks." But that show has a spin-off where they go to other places where
Right.
they're doing it. Well, they actually go with like real guys, and where they go,
Okay, now that's kind of cool.
they're going down off the coast, and they're finding these. They work with these guys that have the claims to
Oh,
look
yeah.
for ships.
Yeah.
So you know the big one, the Keys.
Mhm.
They went there, but then they went to another one. I don't remember where it was. If it was farther up the coast or something. Because I kind of caught the end. But they were. What is it called when the metal? So like if you got a pile of metal on the bottom of the ocean and it all just kind of drills together, it gets like rust over it. They call it
The electrolysis that.
the electrolysis
takes place.
breaks it up.
Yep.
It's called a.
It'll come to me in a minute.
But it's like it's a basically the
Like a bundle of.
it
whatever.
all
Yeah.
roads around it.
Yeah.
And then they do the electrolysis to break it up
Yeah.
and they do whatever.
So it happened with Mel Fisher. When
All
he
these
did his,
things.
the Etosha and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
And they'll find whatever. So they had found all this stuff from the shipwreck, and they would pull these increations,
Yeah.
something like that, and they pull them up and then they break them down every
Yeah.
time. And there was one, so they show one where it's like this big, and you can see coins in it all over it, and it were like different types of metal, different things like that. And then they were like in the middle of it, you can see some of it, you can see gold bars sticking out of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this was one. He said we haven't hit the mother lode yet. They've been diving for like 30 years on it because they had the claims, they had the bell.
Yep.
And they're like, we know that we're still trying to figure out exactly where the back of the ship is because we
Right.
think there's $400 million
Oh yeah.
of gold from then. So, so they have this whole big thing. But one of the accretions is the craziest thing. It's so big, it's huge like this. And they brought it up, and what it is it's gold and metal and all
Yeah.
these things. And I think they said they thought it was a cannon or something at first. They brought it up, and they put it in and they X-rayed it, and it's literally a pirate because it's a pirate ship. He's here like that, and the gold and stuff's on top of him, and his whole body's encased.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Okay, now that would be cool.
He's encapsulated in it with it,
That would be
and
cool.
it's just just the craziest thing.
That would be
And
cool.
they keep flying all these like cannons. So that's what's really neat is that show actually shows them going to some people that have actually found stuff, and they're still because in Trojan they're still pulling
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. And they
every
found
week.
the sister ships and all of that stuff. I mean, that's Mel Fisher. If you've never been to the Keys, I strongly recommend if you go to Key West, go to the Mel Fisher Museum, and you can see all the stuff that they brought up. They've got like the boards, the cannons, the gold, all of that stuff. They've got a museum at the end. I mean, they've got like a sales thing.
Sell you whatever you want.
Oh yeah, and I mean they've got legit Spanish doubloons sitting in there that are.
So last time I was down, I think they had this was a long time ago too. They had real doubloons,
Yep.
and then they had doubloons made out of real gold.
Yep.
So they had ones that were stamped, from Spain, and then they had ones that were to look like it, but from actual gold from the ship.
Yep.
And they had them in little like holders for necklaces. And I want to say they were 25 grand back then.
So
Back in like 2010
Yeah.
or so.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't even imagine what a
Oh,
real
yeah.
one is now. I mean,
So what's funny, and I cringe over this, but when I was growing up, that was like I was growing up in the time that they were finding the Etosha, and they were all of that was like going on. And what you don't realize is Mel Fisher and his family, they lost like sons, like and there are a lot of people that died looking for that treasure, right? And I think his daughter was the last official Fisher that was like out there looking, and she owns the rights to all of this stuff or whatever. I don't remember, but long story short, I had a friend who, he had more money than he knew what to do with, and his parents bought him a legitimate Spanish doubloon. I'm talking like silver dollar size
so cool.
Spanish doubloon, and he freaking pawned it for like $200. And I'm like, are you kidding?
I thought of all the
if I had
things,
$200, I would have given you $200 for it.
all the things to own.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's needs after things, precious
Oh, yeah.
metals. But that's just something.
That's gotta be
different.
so
There's
cool.
just something so different.
Yeah.
That's just it was so neat.
Yeah.
Because I remember that was the first things I ever noticed when I went down there and I was in the
Yeah.
Keys, and he walked by and he has all the stuff for sale,
Oh yeah.
and he had it in the windows, and I was like, those are real. Because he had those, and then he had
And he wore this stuff. I mean, he would wear this stuff.
He
Like,
had beads
yeah.
that they had found, glass beads, and they were crazy expensive too. And I mean, just the neatest shit ever. Now, the one that I was talking about up north, I wish I could remember the name of it, the other ship. They made a museum. They haven't sold a single item off.
Yeah, they can't.
They said it's all together. Well, no, they own the rights. They
Yeah,
can.
but
They said they'll never sell it, and they were because it's
I know they found the Blackbeards, Blackbeard stuff on the.
maybe that's what it
Yeah,
was.
I
Maybe
think
it
you're
was
thinking of
Blackbeard's
Blackbeard
ones.
stuff.
Yeah,
And they haven't
'Cause-
sold any of that.
yeah,
yet.
no, they haven't, and the family is. Oh, they're connected to the Kennedys.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was because one of them was a Kennedy
Yeah.
that was doing it with them, and then they were saying that like $400 million
Oh yeah.
so far in value.
Oh yeah.
And
they
said that
expect it.
and they expect to find the big pieces in,
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
And every time they dive, they're coming back up with coins.
Yep.
And I
They,
was
they were
just
talking like closer to in their expectations, they were talking that $800 million is what the expectation is after they get finished going through all that.
So
stuff.
supposedly that museum is crazy
Yeah, I haven't seen it
because everything's really open. Well, you know what else is a really cool museum is the dive museum down in like Key
Yep.
Largo.
Yeah. No, it's
What's it?
Alamorada.
Is it? I know it's not far. It's
Yep.
not way down. It's,
Alamorada.
it's up there because it's
Yep.
near that giant lobster.
Yep.
That giant rock lobster.
Yep.
Um, that place has. I don't know if last time you've been, but you can go in. There's plexiglass,
Yep.
and you can reach your hand in, and there's that block of silver that's like this big.
Yep.
And you can pick it
Pick
up,
it up.
but you can't really move it
Well,
too much.
so
It's like open
yep,
to the air, but it's not. Yeah,
exactly.
it's pretty cool.
They got the other one. So Mel Fisher Museum had one of those as well. You could go in and you could pick up a bar, and I guess somebody actually managed to steal, like, figure out a way to get their hand in there and steal that bar of gold that they had in there, because they originally got the idea from the dive museum, right? And they did it down there with a gold bar so you could lift it up and feel it, and somebody stole it. And
So
it was
that-
crazy.
That dive museum is so
It's cool.
ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, it just has just so much stuff. And they were saying that like a third of what they have is on display.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so much more
Yep.
stuff that they own over there.
Yep.
And that's another one too. When you walk out at the end, there's all kinds of stuff
Yep.
for sale.
Absolutely.
They'll sell you all kinds of
Yep.
trinkets and stuff.
Yep.
That's really
Yep.
cool. If you have any interest in any of that like treasure hunting or diving history and stuff,
Yep.
that's all down there.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much cool
Oh, yeah.
stuff down there.
And if you go down a little bit further, I think it's Long Pine. I can't remember the name of it. What island it is, but they've got the Turtle Rescue Museum too, or the Turtle Rescue Hospital down there too.
That's cool.
That's really cool to go see. There's a lot of fun stuff to do down there, but there's not a lot of beaches. That's the only drawback for the Keys.
Iguanas.
There's a lot of iguanas.
When you go, well, people think that's new. They're like, oh my god, the iguanas are out of control. They're new. I'm like, the iguanas have been there ever since I can remember. I remember them falling. Remember when it would get cold?
Yeah.
They fall out of the trees.
Yeah.
Because I can just fall out of the trees. You're like, this iguanas are falling everywhere. That and the chickens.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they were
Yep.
protected for years. It's why are these chickens
Yep.
running around
Yep.
everywhere?
They're the Hemingway cats, six-toed cats down.
Well,
in the
so
Keys.
and that's another thing too, because the Hemingway boat.
Yep.
Is in the Bass Pro Shop down there.
Yeah, it is.
And you can walk right up on it.
Yep.
And you think to yourself, they were out in this
Yeah.
rickety ass boat.
No way.
I mean,
No way.
like I get, it's big.
But it ain't that
It
big.
ain't that big. And at the time, that was probably a really good boat.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then you look at that thing, and you're like, this is it. Like, this is a real boat. It looks like somebody built it with plywood.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's mind blowing to think. And you don't even, and you can never grasp that. Like, I still can't grasp that.
Mm.
When I'm on that boat, that's the actual Hemingway boat.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't
Cool.
seem like it should be. Like,
No.
it doesn't, you're just like, this can't
Nope.
be it.
Nope.
Yeah, there's all
And,
kinds of neat stuff down there. Dry Tortugas is down there.
We saw the Black Pearl before it sank. The boat that they filmed all the Black Pearl. That was down in there. You know, it was down in the Keys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that thing was cool. I mean, it was really, really cool. Gorgeous boat. Gorgeous 3-mast canvas boat. I mean, just absolutely amazing.
Well, we went years ago, so down home they used to use skipjacks.
Yep.
Wait for my time, but that's what they used to. They would oyster dredge.
Yeah.
With skipjacks, because that was like the only thing that you could dredge with them and
Yeah.
still hold the power of the sails. And I remember I crewed on one of those for like a weekend doing
Nope.
dicking around.
Nope. No, thank you.
Talking about a lot of work.
Yeah.
That is a lot
Oh, yeah.
of work, and that's 2 sails.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's big mass. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
work, but I can't imagine how they ran those boats.
No.
How you had that many guys like to drop sail, to climb up and
Yeah.
undo all those and tie and change things that fast.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was, and with how many people you had to have, those things were crammed.
And
so
that's where
tight.
the idea behind, or their name came from, able-bodied boatswains. You know, you had to be of able body, and what was considered able body at the time was, I mean, you really had to be young, and you had to be, you know, you had to know your stuff. And
Well, so at home, down in St. Mary's, so St. Mary's County, or St. Mary's City. St. Mary's City was the first capital of Maryland.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, it was the first capital of Maryland. They had a settlement down there, and that was called St. Mary's City.
Okay,
It was pretty substantial, and then they left and they moved, and it got abandoned. It actually got forgotten about for
Right.
years and years and years. And somebody was out there tilling. The guy had farmland, and he started to dig up on his archives.
no way.
And that's when they're like, "Oh, this is the site." Crazy shit.
Yeah.
It just gets bigger every time they dig out there. It's a huge complex now. 'Cause they're
Really?
trying to rebuild it. It's pretty cool.
Man, what is up with you kids? I mean,
Mike's
you were,
getting me today. So down there they have the ships that came on. And of course, I can't remember because all I want to say is the Pinta Maria and the
the Nina, the Pinta,
in
and
the
Santa
Santa
Maria.
Maria, but that's not what it was. There's, but see, like little the ships that came over,
Yeah.
so they've rebuilt those,
Okay.
and they or at least one of them, and they have it down there, and you can go on it and they sail it around a little bit. It's kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
The thing we get on that thing, and you're thinking to yourself, they came across
Yeah,
the
dude.
ocean in this
Nope.
rickety ass little boat.
Yeah.
Like there's not much to it at all.
Luck really was on their
And you
side.
know, and you look at that and you say, there's two things that I always thought to myself that were crazy about like the colonies when they came over here,
Mhm.
especially the East Coast up here. Two things: they came over, they ran their boats ashore, and they took them apart and built houses out of them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Knowing that they're
Commitment.
that's a
That's
committed. You're done.
You're not going anywhere.
No.
Leaving is no longer an option.
Yeah, exactly.
You literally rammed the boat up,
Yep.
found your spot, did a little circle around to do some charting, came back and took the boat's part.
Yeah.
And then said, okay, that's it, the ship's part. Start building houses with it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I said they must have been starving to death to eat crabs.
Think so.
Who here you see? Okay, see the blue? You see the blue crab? See it
yeah.
in the water?
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine who looked down at that and said, "Man, that thing looks like it's gonna taste good."
See, and that, but that's the thing. I've always wondered. So I wondered a lot of that. You know, how do you decide what you're going to eat, what you're not going to eat? How do you, like berries? Who decided to eat a blackberry? You know, and so I researched a lot of it. And what they did was they watched a lot of birds that would eat berries, and they'd say, okay, if a bird ate it and didn't die, okay, that's probably a good berry to eat, right? And that's where a lot of it. Now, it didn't always work out that way, but you go back and you look at mushrooms. Who in their right mind decided, oh, I'm going to eat that piece of fungus?
Yeah, true.
I'm not. Nope, I'm not going to do that. No, no, still not going to do it. But I think you're right. I think if you look, you go back and you look, you are committed at that point.
Like I get clams and mussels.
Yeah.
Oh, we crack that out and see what's in there. But see, I don't know. And I guess this is
Well, they got crabs over in.
lack of my knowledge. I don't know what kind of crabs they had over like in Europe. Now maybe the Spanish down south.
Yeah.
But in like,
Portugal's got crabs.
like okay, but let's talk like England.
They got crabs. They got mussels.
Did they have
Yeah.
crabs up there? I don't
They
know.
have to.
I don't know.
They got crabs in Maine. I mean, why wouldn't they have
They
crabs?
don't have crabs in Maine.
Yes, they do.
They got lobster in Maine.
No, they got crabs
They
too.
have no
They
crabs
have
in
stone
Maine.
crabs. Absolutely.
I think
I've eaten
stone
them.
crabs are West Coast thing, right?
No, I'm telling you, they have these big monster crabs in Maine. I've eaten them. I was stationed
Well,
there.
now I want to know if they have crabs in England.
Yes. I'm telling you, they got to.
This is going to be not a good search. Common shore crab is the most abundant crab found on all
Yeah.
coasts, but they're not good
Dude.
looking.
If you go to Diego Garcia,
They're just small.
yeah. But if you go to like Diego Garcia,
What is Diego Garcia?
it's an island out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. If you go to Diego, and you walk in, and when you're there, they have crabs everywhere, and they're considered subjects of the queen. You can't mess with them. You can't eat them. You can't do anything with those things. They're all considered subjects of the queen. So there's crabs in the Indian Ocean. There's crabs everywhere. And I imagine, hey, if you're hungry enough, you're gonna freaking try to eat it. You're gonna try to eat it.
Not my thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, with summertime, springtime?
Yeah.
That whole area is just estuary.
Yeah.
There's so much food there.
Yeah.
Wintertime, I don't know.
Not
It's a
so
little
much.
tougher. But there was so much.
But-
But there was also a lot of Indian presence down there too. So and when they looked at that colony, there's tons of Indian artifacts in next to it.
Yeah.
So who knows what they were doing down there?
Yeah.
But it's weird, and that's the thing too. It was weird growing up at home. Was you'd find arrowheads, and I was wondering myself like, is the arrowhead 400 years old?
No,
Or is it
no.
4,000 years old?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Now, I was talking to people about that. They say they can tell differences between evolution of
My chair.
arrowheads. What happened?
It just.
So evolution of like arrowheads, you can tell the difference. But I always thought that was crazy because you never, like,
Right.
you pick it up, you're like, God, when was the last time somebody had this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's pretty cool. Same thing though. We went over to Maryland and went fossil diving for obviously for fossils, but
Megalodon teeth.
Yeah, and you talk about some. I mean, those are some crazy big fish right there. You look at the size of those things compared to the largest great white out there, and you're like, dude, you could like eat 6 of those in one bite.
Nothing's crazy about like, so you think about like a great white shark.
Yeah.
People say, oh, great white shark's like 30 feet long. You're like, yeah, it's not that big. and then you stand on like a 30-foot boat,
Yeah, you realize just how
and
big
you
that fish
think to
is.
yourself that he's sticking out on both sides of you like 6
Yeah.
feet because the fins are going out.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
that's
white shark. That's a big dude.
big fish.
Yeah, and he can eject himself out of the water up to 8 feet.
We used to go find the dinosaur fossils,
Yeah.
fossil teeth all the time. There was an island out there called Shark's Tooth
Yep.
Island, and the ledge was over here. The ledge would fall, there
Yep.
were shallows, and you wash it out.
Yep.
And people would go down. I never found any megalodon teeth.
Yeah.
I found some bigger teeth,
Yeah.
but I never found anything that was huge.
We went with a guy, with a couple of guys that are professional fossil hunters, and they have like their PhDs and all this other stuff. And they have spots that they don't tell anybody about. And we sign a piece of paper and say, but they have fully intact megalodons with their teeth and everything. And they don't tell anybody about it. And the idea is an educational perspective. You get down there and you get to go see. And the other reason why is, they looked at it and like, look, the skeletal remains, the fossils themselves are so delicate, they could never get that out. I mean, they not in one piece. They're fairly certain it would fall apart or whatever. So they leave it down there. They don't tell anybody about it. And they take people there to go see it so you can see. And when you can, literally swim inside this thing's mouth, and you're looking at it, you're like, dude, this thing is huge. I mean, I would be absolutely petrified to see one of those things come up. But we've kind of ventured off of course a little bit.
I mean,
but that's okay.
It's not that far off. It's still.
But
No, there's a girl that I follow that I went to high school with. I think she still lives home. That's what she does for fun, is fossil hunt.
Yeah.
Like, just walks on the beaches where
Yeah.
the cliffs are. And all the time, she posts pictures finding megalodon teeth. Once you have the eye for it.
that's what they say.
You know what I mean?
I think two things that would not work for me was, number one, they're not patient. I have no patience for it. And number two, my eyesight's kind of not going. You get older, your eyesight starts to kind of.
So it's kind of like you ever go somewhere and you see something different. Okay, here's what I was going to say. If we walked out right now and we were standing in the shallows of water, and I went, look, there's a flounder.
Yep.
And you'd go, what? And then once you saw it, you'd go,
Yep.
shit, there's 100 flounder. But until your
Absolutely.
eye makes that shape
Yep.
out,
Till
you
you
don't
see it.
And I kind of feel like sometimes with those teeth, people have such a
Yeah.
mind
Yeah,
training
agreed.
to it that they see it. You
Yeah.
know.
When I dive, I've always been really good at being able to pick out octopus. And for those,
Talking about cool stuff.
dude, I mean, and I'm really at home under the water, and being able to find an octopus is hard. Being able to see one in general is almost impossible for most people. But when you get the eye for it, and literally you're looking for their eye, that's the only part of them that they don't change. So you're looking for the eye, and once you see it, you're like, okay, now I can pick them out.
So you're interacting with the big ones?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
Smartest animal, super smart.
So people say that there's a lot of thought that they're not from the planet.
Oh, I'm not gonna go there.
You ever heard that?
I have.
That they're just so radical and different that they must be from somewhere else. But then I saw where guys were talking about that, and there was a biologist that was like, well, cellular, they're just like everything else
Yeah,
on the
they
planet.
are.
He was like, they're really adapted to be in the water and to,
Oh, yeah.
to not have a skeleton.
Yep.
But he was like, but as far as human
Yeah.
animals from the planet, they fall just in line with every
Yeah.
animal.
But they're
But people
freaking
said
smart,
they're,
dude.
they're just amazingly intelligent.
They are. They are incredibly smart. They find a way to camouflage themselves. They find a way to eat and not get eaten. I mean, how does an animal without a skeletal, any type of really major defense, and no skeleton exist and function for years in an ocean that is violent and capable of eating anything at any time?
Well, I tell everybody, I said the ocean it's not what you think it is.
No.
Because we talk about like people like fish and things, and they get hooked in this, that, and the other. I said their nervous systems aren't like ours. I said they're completely
They don't
different.
feel it.
I said they don't know what's going on. I said, and people go, oh, how do you know? Da, da, da. I said because the reason I know is because they eat each other.
Yeah.
They just cut each other halfway along,
Yeah.
and they just keep swimming.
Oh yeah.
Like they just don't. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no
it doesn't
clue.
affect them like it would.
Yeah. No.
What a human. And I said they literally. I said if fish could talk, and you stuck all you hear is screams.
Yeah.
Because all they're doing is eating each other all day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only goal.
Yeah.
Like,
Or they're eating coral. They eating crab off the coral.
It's
but
the
either
same
way.
kind of idea. Like you hear everything's got to eat to survive.
Oh yeah.
No, every fish will eat another fish. There's no vegetarian. Okay, other than like armored cats, like Plecos. But everything else, if it gets the opportunity to eat it,
That's the third time you've hit
that's
that
the
mic.
fourth time. Yeah, they thought that the whales.
Yeah.
Oh, whales don't eat fish. They just feed. They filter feed. And there was that big bait ball. I'll never forget that video. The first time I
Yeah.
saw that, and that diver was filming that, and he turned around, and that whale almost ate him.
Yeah.
And it ate like two tuna and something
Oh, yeah.
else, and like a bunch of fish. Cut right through the bait ball, ate everything, kept
Oh,
going.
yeah.
And they were like, we had no idea they do that. They're like, they eat. They can
They
eat.
eat whatever. I
It's
mean, you can't be picky and choosy.
opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now
Absolutely.
that's what people don't get about the ocean.
Oh yeah.
They just everything will eat
Oh yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. That what, and you think about it, like you look at like parrotfish, right?
Yeah.
Or they have teeth. They have like like drums. They have like look like human teeth, right? And they come up and they can chew on like coral. They
They
can
physically eat coral.
yeah.
People don't get that. Like they break it open and they get to the soft side.
Exactly. And mussels and everything. And they're like,
You ever watch them when people break open? See how there's all those anemones now
Yeah.
that are all they're growing like crazy.
Yep.
And you'll see them on the
flip them
guys,
over and clip
and
them
they'll
out.
just crack them
Yep.
and throw them in bags, just get them out.
Yep.
And they'll crack them, and those parrotfish will come up and
Oh,
just
yeah.
eat them like crazy.
All over the place. Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah. It's
And-
crazy.
See, people can see like, especially on like I had a reef tank for years,
Mhm.
and that's how quickly you realize like everything is going to eat everything.
Oh yeah.
And unless you have it perfectly balanced, they're all gonna. All you want to do is have apex predators,
Yeah.
and you want to feed them. What you want to do is have a natural chain
Yeah.
all the way to your apex. And your apex, you want to feed them so they don't eat everybody else.
Oh yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's the whole idea of it. You know what I mean? People don't realize that. Like,
So Allie and I were, we decided that we were going to go diving, right? And one of her bucket list items was she wanted to dive with whale sharks. Okay, cool. So I'm off on this quest for one of it was graduation or birthday. I can't remember what it was.
I can find videos and all that. I couldn't imagine where you find to actually do it.
So there's like 4 places in the world that you can go. 2 of them on the one of them's off the Dominican Republic. That's probably the best place to go dive with whale sharks, right? The problem is that it's heavily regulated, right? And you can't go in and touch these things anymore. People would grab a hold of them and ride them, and I mean these things are 100 feet long, and you grab a hold of their fin, and with one swish of the tail, you're 250 feet under the water now. So now you're dead. You're a dummy. So. But we found out through a lot of different things that they have whale sharks in the aquarium in Atlanta, Georgia.
Crazy.
So we decided we were going to go. We were going. I'm taking her there, right, for a surprise, right? So you can dive with the whale sharks. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So we go down there, and we're in there, and we're all getting hyped up, and she's super stoked, and these whale sharks are we're watching them outside the tank. They have this huge viewing room. If you've never seen it, you can go online and see it and watch them. And they have this huge room, and you can watch everything. It's gorgeous. So we go in, and you go behind the scenes. They put you in and get you in a wetsuit, and you do all this stuff, and it's a big deal, right? And you get in there, and you got like 5 other people that you're diving with, and we met all of them. They're all really cool people and their families, and so we're going and give you your instructions, and then we look over, and there's this other pool that's sitting over to the side, and there's these 2 hammerhead sharks that are swimming in this pool, and I'm looking and I'm watching, and I'm like, what's up with the hammerhead sharks over there, right? And they said, yeah, we had them in here up until a month ago, and we had to take them out because they were eating everything in the tank. And we're like, are you kidding me? They're like, nope. They have skates in there. They have the Warby sharks. They have giant grouper, everything. And so we get in there, we dive, had a great time. And while we're there, there's a Goliath grouper. It wasn't giant, it's Goliath grouper in the tank. And this thing decides at some point does not like men. Only men, right? So we're in there, and all these other, you got all these dive masters that are around you, and they're got the poles and all stuff. Well, apparently one of the guys that were in our group got bit by a freaking Goliath grouper. I mean, tore through his wetsuit, the whole 9 yards. I didn't know anything about it, but it got bit by a freaking Goliath grouper, and you're like, who gets bit by a Goliath grouper?
Cool story.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah, I
slick.
mean, like, I could,
Yeah, that would be cool.
what happened to your arm?
I got to go back to Goliath grouper. Yeah. So
There was a video of a spearfisher. He was down diving. He was spearfishing, and he had him on a stringer. And he
mhm.
was placing a stringer on the bottom. He was dicking around, and he looks over, and this Goliath has come out and he's
Yeah.
got the whole stringer.
Oh yeah.
And he grabs the stringer and he's pulling it, and the Goliath is pulling back, and he starts like fighting the fisher. He's
Nope.
like pushing him and kicking him and
Nope.
trying to get it go. And finally, the fish lets go. And I was like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah. Nope. So, if you go down to Islamorada, right, and we're back to the Keys, right? But if you go to Islamorada, one of the big things down there is spearfishing. I mean, Islamorada is the fishing paradise. You know, if you're going to fish the Keys, that's where you want to go, right? And the island just north of that has a protected reef called John Pennekamp Reef, right? And you dive there, right? You go look at all that stuff. You go to Islamorada, they have a couple of wrecks you can dive on, but it's there for spearfishing. I mean, hogfish are like their big thing. And we're down there, and they had some guys that were spearfishing while we were diving, right? And we were just there. We weren't spearfishing. We were diving the wreck. And the dive masters told us afterwards that the sharks at Islamorada have gotten so accustomed to the sound of a spearfish gun going off that they start coming in now. And I mean, they know that that's dinner, and they'll. I mean, and you have to obviously there's a safety brief, and they talk about that. If you're spearfishing, and you pull, a shark comes by, let him have your bait. Why would you ever have to tell me that? Why would I? Why? What would? And what it is somebody tried to fight off a shark to keep their fish, and you're like, why?
Well, I've
Don't
seen
be a
it.
dummy.
I saw there's a really classic video. Yet again, down the Keys, under the bridge,
Yep.
and they're under that bridge, and it just goes, and there's this giant hammerhead hanging out.
Oh yeah.
And they're fishing, and they're reeling in a tarpon or something some salmon, and they get it right next to the boat, and they're trying to grab it, and the fish goes from frantic to like crazy. Frantic.
Yeah.
And this giant, biggest hammerhead I've ever seen rolls up. They're only like in a 21-foot boat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And this thing rolls up and tries to grab that fish, and they start eating. They yank it, and it gets like half the fish. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
hammerhead's huge.
Oh yeah.
And then they let it go, and it's floating, and they're reaching, trying to grab the half of the fish.
Nope.
And I'm like, "Are you crazy?" And then sure enough, he comes back up and grabs the half the fish because he's that big. It's
Oh, yeah.
nothing for him to eat this thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "You were so close to getting
Oh,
bit
yeah.
by this
You're a dummy.
giant."
Yeah.
And
you're
I
a
mean,
dummy.
it's the biggest great white I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was the damn size of the boat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not great white, sorry, hammerhead. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
"God, it's
I know
just so big."
Dude, it's crazy.
And they're cool.
Oh, yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds to get bit by one of those is few and far between.
So, but what people don't realize a lot of times they'll identify hammerheads versus sculpin.
So I know that they were saying that the hammerheads normally are kind of hard to catch.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't go after what you do.
No.
They just go after rays.
Right.
And that's why
You rarely see
That's
a
why
true hammerhead.
their heads are like that because they're down looking
And
for
they're
rays all
shoveling
the
stuff
time.
all. Yeah.
And they're saying the only time you get them is if you throw like cow nose parts out.
Yep.
So often you'll catch them.
Yep.
But they were saying that they just hunt on the bottom. I've never seen a hammerhead. Like I see plenty of those spades and stuff.
I've dove so much in my entire life. I have a lot of dives, right? But what's really interesting is in the dive community, I've only ever seen one hammerhead ever, and it happened to be in Islamorada on that dive. And I couldn't validate whether it was a sculpin or whether it was a hammerhead. It looked like a hammerhead, but it was just a fleeting glimpse of this hammerhead, and I'm like, that is so cool. So, that was.
but people don't realize their surroundings either.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My dad was out diving somewhere, and he took him. It was like, this was back when he took the disposable
Oh yeah,
cameras,
yeah.
and he was flicking pictures around. And then when he brought it back, you could see him in the shadows. You could see other stuff swimming around watching.
Yeah.
Because they were in a group, and those things know. Oh, there's food. Let me go see what these guys leave. Let me see what they drop.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's like dock pets.
Yeah.
Like when you go to the marinas and there's just sharks hanging out there all the time, or giant tarpon.
Because somebody's
because-
fed them.
Because somebody's just throwing all the scraps from filleting out the back.
Yep. Same
Or-
thing in there's a place called AJ or a place called Gators down in Florida. And you're not supposed, you're not ever supposed to feed alligators. I mean, that's a big thing. Fish and Wildlife down there is really, really big about that. You don't feed don't feed them. But people, I won't say that they feed them, but people feed them, and they come up. I mean, you can sit at this restaurant and watch them come up, right, and
That's like Sundowners. Down there
oh yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Key Largo.
yeah, yeah,
You gotta, because it's that one, and then if you go into not Key Largo, Marathon. There's
Marathon,
that big
yeah.
that big place on the charter boats too. They go there. They have manatees there
oh
all the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and you can't get touch with manatees.
Well,
Oh, they're so cool.
so that was another one that I took Allie on. I think it might have wasn't the same trip, but we went down there for whatever reason, and her big thing was she wanted to see the manatee, right? And I grew up seeing them. Have like fresh water running off the dock, and they're going to come up, and they're really cool. They are really, really cool. So I said, all right, we'll go down there and see if we can, see a manatee. And we went on this snorkeling trip. By the way, I hate snorkeling. It's too much work.
Was it like one of the freshwater streams?
Yeah, it was in the rivers, part of the springs.
They say that's the best place to see them.
It is, and so we're down in these springs, and you got this boat full of idiot people, and we're all kind of sitting there, and I'm like, they saw one manatee, right? The boat finds this one manatee, and everybody jumps off, and then they're all wanting to get a picture of him, and the manatee's like, what in the ever-loving hell is this? You people are dumb. And they're big, they're not moving fast, but I went off, and I kind of started, on a different path, because I thought I saw something over here. So we go down this bank, and, we're looking, and sure enough, there's this manatee. It's just me and Al, right? And I had her camera underwater, and we got some good, stuff. And the deal is you're only allowed to place one hand on the manatee, right? And you can touch it with one hand. It's $10,000 fine if you touch it with two hands. So I go to take a picture, and we come home, and go to start looking at some of the pictures, and there's my wife with both hands. It's a $10,000 fine. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Well, they were saying that, and I've never known anybody that this happened to. They were saying a lot of people get hurt from manatees to be killed because they'll hold them, and the manatees, as they say, they're really playful, and they'll roll you, playing around. And they said that in those creeks and those streams, they'll roll you into the stream and not even realize they're crushing you in the bank against them.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know if there's truth to it. I mean,
there was these rangers talking about down in Florida that was part of the problem.
I knew people had been injured. I didn't know anybody had been killed. I knew.
Well, I don't know if they didn't quite say numbers fatality-wise, but they were like, these things will crush you.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
So it's like,
I mean, they're the size of a cow. I mean, that's why they call them sea cows. So.
If I had a pier in Florida and they were around there, I would just keep water running all the time off of it so they come to drink.
I think you'd be visited by one of the rangers.
They're so cool. They're just so darn neat. You know what I mean? But
and they have a rehab center down there too. In Hermosa, there's a manatee rehab center for the ones that get run over by the props.
Well, it's funny too because we were talking about. Just in general, we got kind of off subject, but we're really not off subject at all. It's funny because when you think about like the Keys and Florida, you think there's a lot of fishing, there's a lot of diving. You can fish in totally different ways. You can spearfish, you can go, dive and do whatever you want to do. You can
lobsters.
I tell you what, we live down there. That's all I need. You can go out there too. You can go offshore. You can go inshore. You can go inland.
Yeah.
You can go jig the piers and the pylons and catch crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so neat. And now there's the biggest thing. I had no idea what tourism was. Air gun iguana hunting.
Yeah. I want to go.
Out there and just
I want to go so bad.
Iguanas all day long with those air guns. Some nicer air guns.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was like a big thing down there now.
Oh yeah.
So
I want to go so bad.
It's amazing because in those areas there's nothing really. You can't really hunt out there.
No,
and even if there was things to hunt, it's too popular. There's not.
Right.
I mean, the islands aren't big.
Right.
Going all the way down.
Yep.
But to go down and dick around and shoot those iguanas with air guns, oh yeah, I can see it all day long.
And it's a nuisance permit, so you don't really you don't have to pay for a hunting license or anything like that. So.
And I haven't seen a lot of the snake hunting.
Oh no.
Down the Everglades where they get those giant pythons and stuff.
Nope.
That is crazy.
Yep, it's crazy. You will never get me to go hunt for a snake. Period.
Well, you see what those guys do. They like jump out and drag them out.
No. Look, every village has an idiot. That's their idiot. Nope. I'm not. No.
So I thought they were just like finding them and shooting them. No, they were like dragging them out alive.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You know. No, I'm not. Nope.
you know what else does not seem interesting to me whatsoever?
What's that?
Gator hunting.
You know.
That it just looks boring. So I watched a show, and maybe somebody will call me and tell me otherwise, because I'm sure I will. But somebody I watched a show, and I don't remember who was doing it, and they were down in Florida, and they were gator hunting with rifles. They weren't doing like the lines and the shooting when they come up and all that.
Right,
They
yeah.
were rifle hunting them.
Right.
And they were driving around looking for gators. They were
Mhm.
like, okay. And it was this big suspenseful thing. Like, they made it so suspenseful in the show. And he's like across the river bank, and they run the boat up, and he lays down, and he takes his rifle out, and it's like 50
It is-
yards,
Yeah. No.
and he pulls the scope out, he's able to, and you know, like when they sun themselves, they open their mouths.
Yeah.
And the mouths are open, it's like this.
Yeah.
And he waits, like, okay, ready? He's like, take the shot. They go, and he goes.
Yep. That's it.
And I was like, did he get it? Or was he just asleep? And they're like, that's a good hit. And I was like,
Wow.
what? What was it?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? And alligator's gross.
Alligator is gross, except for the tail.
It's I've never
Except for the tail.
really found it to be good. And it's one of those two people like, oh, do you have alligator balls?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is the shape of it make it taste better than how it tasted in other ways? Because
The only part that's good on an alligator is eating the tail, and for that matter, it's really only the tip of the tail. The rest of that is garbage.
I mean, and I don't really have anything to do with alligator skins.
Yeah, no, it's not my thing. I mean, it's cool. I mean, alligator wallets and boots.
Like
and
I said,
stuff
I
that.
just-
That's cool. I
I-
don't have a problem with it, but
I wouldn't have the desire to go.
yeah, no,
Now I might live line one
you know,
like they do in the boats.
you know. Nope.
Maybe, but
No.
that's just a little more interesting.
You've been around enough guns. Oh, we're getting the.
What?
I was gonna say, do your pistol.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay.
But so yeah, to wrap this one up, I've been around enough. You've been around enough guns, right? What happens when you shoot a 22 into the water? It fractionalizes.
So here's my thing with the whole with the gator thing, and I know that the whole point of the 22 is to keep the skins good. And
Sure,
keep
yeah.
the skins, I get it. I watched those shows. They busted up all rusty 22s.
Yeah.
They get it yet again because it's going to be destroyed.
Yeah,
But I feel like I would have something else with me that had a little more ass.
most of them do.
Because he goes, well, I watched that dumb show.
No.
And
I,
that
I
one-
know some of those
That
guys.
one boy,
Yeah, no.
and he's legit. I mean, I believe this
Yeah.
kid lives in the woods, and he was dicking around and he thought it was dead. It was on the boat.
Oh,
He
yeah.
put his hand in, and his hand got stuck, and it wouldn't let go.
Yep.
And he was screaming, trying to get his hand out.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, that would have been the moment when I would have been like,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
that thing off.
Yeah.
So that's the part of me too that's like, those guys are nuts. Like they're gonna rest
they
their
are.
fingers
Yeah, no.
over that, and I just don't.
You
I
know
don't
that
know.
whole industry is dying out though.
It's got to be. I mean, how much gator skins are you gonna use?
Well, now they've got them to where they grow gators inside of like tubes, and they harvest the gators out of these tubes, and there's like zero flaws with their skin and all this.
So
other
I
stuff.
have
So,
I have a patent on it's a device, and what you do is you put a baby gator in it, and as it grows into the form of a purse, and then you kill it and you skin it, and it's already in a purse shape.
you're terrible.
Have you ever seen that with the melons?
Yes.
With the
Yeah,
melons and the
yeah,
watermelons,
yeah,
it's just like that.
That's
but
kind of
it's-
cool.
But it's an alligator. It's
Yeah.
alligator in the shape of a purse. So yeah, no, but I do want to go fish.
Well,
I
I kind of
wanna-
like you, right?
I want to rod.
I really like you.
I want to rod a real fish, a giant gar.
Oh, we can do that.
That I definitely.
We can do that. That's easy.
That I really,
Yeah.
really want to do.
We
that.
can do that.
I don't want to bellfish it.
No,
No,
you can rod and reel. Yeah,
I want to rod.
I know a lot of guys that do that. I've caught gar on rod and reel. I mean, so it's and to get an alligator gar. Not,
No, I mean I want like an 8-foot fish.
Yeah, you want
Yeah, I
you want a
want big
legit
one.
alligator
Yeah,
gar.
no, I don't want
So,
like what we call the Potomac. Which, by the way, still I didn't even know we're in the Potomac. We grew up there my whole life.
all right.
Still
Anyway,
mind-blowing.
we're coming to the end, but I really wanted to get we got good comments and feedback on your gun of the day, gun of the week, I guess. So
And a surprise gun drop off, which she did today. She did randomly. We have them out already because she just dropped it off, but she did happen to drop off.
I think she's got two good ones. So
She
let's
got
not
some
deprive
ones.
people of the two guns that we have today.
Okay, so the first one we have, give me the box too.
Okay. Yeah.
That way we have the whole package. So here we have,
It's got the top or it's got the piece of paper in the top.
so I'm trying to see because I'm trying to figure out how old this is. Oh, it's old. By the box, it doesn't look very old. The reason I say is because they made these for a very, very, very long time. So like when you look at the owner's manual, it looks really
It
old.
says it on the back, I think.
But it's not super old. No, it has a fax number. That won't tell me anything.
All right. Anyway, get to it so we don't.
Yeah, so whatever. So yeah, this is just, so what we're talking about here is, gun of the day, one of them is a Beretta Bobcat. So, what's neat with the Bobcat is it looks like a Beretta. It kind of looks like the 92, but it's nothing like the 92 actually. It's much, much, much different. So it comes in 22 or 25. It's got 10 round mag. The mag release is interesting because it's in the grip itself. So it's not up here in the front. It's not at the bottom like a European release. It's actually in the grip there.
Right.
So it's kind of neat. Comes out. It is single, double.
Yep.
It's both. And then what's neat too is for cleaning and stuff. There's a little lever here,
I think this is so cool.
and the lever pops up so you can clean the barrel like that. Which is just a neat little little thing about it that they do, which is just really kind of cool that they have. They still make these. They've made them forever. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how old this one is. I don't know if it's older and it's just in really good shape or it's not that old. They still make them. Now they make them in like a cool tan color too to match the new 98s.
Okay.
92s. Why did I say 98s? And they make it with threaded barrels too. So,
So
little
that-
22
when
with
you told me
threaded
that-
barrels,
yeah, when we-
it's pretty cool.
When we saw that, right, when you were telling me about that at the beginning, I was like, one of those with a suppressor on it. How cool would that look?
Oh, it's neat.
That
So,
would be so cool.
now here's the downside too. We talk about the suppressors. Like, this isn't going to be overly quiet
God no.
because when we had the breach open, we're still going to get a lot of noise
Right.
out the back. But it's 22, so it's still pretty quiet. But it would look really, really neat with the suppressor on there. You
Oh
know
yeah,
what
I
mean?
think so.
It has that general, Beretta look to it. I will say the single action trigger pull is pretty long, and then even the single and the double both kind of stuff. I wouldn't say this is like the most easiest gun to shoot with how small it is and how hard the trigger pull is on it.
You gotta have small hands.
Yeah, it's definitely a mic gun. I mean, most of my hand's not on it. But if you wanted to carry a 22 around, this wouldn't be a bad little thing. It's thin. Function wise, it's like, most of these Berettas are flawless. They tend to run just fine with regular maintenance. What is kind of weird about this is it's on this aluminum frame, and then they did a bent piece of steel here.
Yeah, I
which
think
is-
that looks
it's
slick.
kind of interesting. You don't see that a lot in the guns, which allows it to have a much larger trigger frame,
Right.
a trigger guard, without having it look weird and without having it be stressed and not stable. And then there's your traditional safety in the back. But the double singles is really neat too. Because a lot of times when you get this small, you tend to see just one or the other.
Right.
It's either a double or a single, but for it to be both is pretty darn cool. So functions, like I said, kind of like a 92. It kind of looks like a 92, but other than looking and having a double single and a
So
safety.
that gun was manufactured in 1976.
I don't think
That's
so.
what it says in the book.
No, I think that book might have been made in '76.
Anyway,
Or like the first copy of it, because this box is.
well, that's the warranty information. Is what I was looking at. It says after December 31st, 1976, warranty is void.
I feel like that's just a reprint.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
I don't doubt it, but
if this is from '76, this is in really good shape.
yeah, I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, that's the Beretta Bobcat. Like I said, they still make them. They're super cool. They come in 22. They come in 25. Like I said, for the longest time they're just this blued, but now they make them in tan and a couple other things and threaded barrels and.
And we'll do a YouTube, or we'll do an Instagram short, or YouTube short, or something like that on
Yeah,
that.
we could maybe actually do some videos shooting these things.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool.
'Cause this one I can take out and shoot and see how it goes. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna be the easiest thing to shoot.
Yeah.
The trigger pull. So
But it's a
I would
22.
definitely say double action
That's a long pull, but
and then single.
that single's not terrible. I pulled it.
It's still, I don't know.
It's a 22.
Let's see how it goes. It's all about trigger control.
All right.
But it is kind
I
of
think
neat
it's so
how
cool.
the barrel pops
I love
up
that.
like that. So
All right, but you
That's
got
that
another one
one.
too, so we're gonna do two, or you just gonna do one?
Yeah, we'll do that. I want to do that.
Cool,
I guess
'cause this other one's
do we,
like-
do we have the other box too?
I did. Now this one I really, really like. I like that one too, but I think this is cool.
So, Bond Arms is a company. I don't know where Bond Arms is out of. Made in Texas. Okay, that's what I thought. It was one of those ones. So, Bond Arms, right here. They make some really, really cool little guns. They make basically Derringers, modern Derringers.
Yeah.
Two-barrel Derringers. And the way they set theirs up is they can be very modular design. So you can change the barrels in and out of them. This is a special one. This is it's called an Alaskan or Kodiak or something like that.
Grizzly.
Grizzly, that's right, Grizzly. So from the manufacturer, it actually came with
I like
a little
that.
leather holster, and then it's got a little hold on there that goes over that. It's actually, you can pull it tight if you want. So, I guess the idea they kind of have with this is something you could carry for like bear defense.
Yeah.
It's in 45 Colt, which was also a 410.
Right.
So you can shoot 410 shotgun shells and 45 Colts out of it. People will say a lot of things about 45 Colt, and they'll say that 45 Colt isn't really a powerful round. It's a very powerful
is.
round. Before the 44 Magnum, I mean, this was the most powerful round around.
Oh yeah.
So people really down that, but I mean it's a substantial round. But yeah, so it comes with a little leather holster,
Holds a lot of kinetic energy when it's fired. That's for sure.
and then it has its own little grips with a little barrel on there. But what is cool is it's a modern Derringer, so it is a single action only. So you got to pull it back every time you shoot it, and then on top of that, the way that it works is you just press it, it flips open. So here's your
There's your
release.
ejector.
It ejects by itself. If you look, it popped open when we did it. It's on spring. So if you
But
had,
it's also got a manual in case it gets stuck.
yes. So if you did, so let's say you fired it and you popped it down, they're gonna pop open. You probably put it like this, they'll pop out. But if it does stick or something happens, you can
Yeah.
push it that much more. So it's pretty cool. So this one is 45 410. So you can have both barrels 45. You could have
145,
145, 110, the 410. And nowadays, with the making of all these new 410 pistols, so we have, for example,
The
the
Judge.
Judge, the Taurus. We have a Smith & Wesson model of it. We have a lot of different things now, and then all these different ones like this. You have a lot more self-defense 410 rounds out.
Right.
So you have a lot more versatility to carry for self-defense.
Sure.
So if you wanted to carry this for a self-defense gun, it's not the lightest thing in the world. You know what I mean? But you're not going to be worried shooting yourself.
Yeah.
You got to cock it every time.
Yeah.
410 wise, like I said, there's some significant, defense rounds, and 45, Colt is a hell of a round.
Yeah.
So for the extra weight to it, I mean, it does have a lot to it. This idea was more towards, going outside with it. They make them in all different barrel lengths and stuff all the way out to here, things like that. What they do make that I've been on a couple of them over the years. I haven't got one yet, and the reason is probably because this is a 2.5 inch.
Right.
I think they make them with like 6 inches or something, and like 38s.
Right.
They have a 45 ACP and a 9, and they make a bunch of them.
Yeah.
They used to make 45 Colt, 4570.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So one barrel was 4570. One barrel was 45
Right.
Colt. 4570 out of this thing is a pig, and if it's only about this long, and see how it has these side cuts into it, it
Yeah.
was solid all the way across.
Mm.
The barrel was solid, and man, every video I watch people shooting it, it was just they shoot it once, they would shoot it again.
Yeah. Dude, I've shot a 45-70 out of a Henry, and that was a beast. That was putting it in a handgun. No,
Can you imagine how much fun?
no
that is?
way.
So I wanted to get one just to have fun with it, just to watch other people shoot it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just thought that'd be really fun. So I like, the Magnum stuff. We've got 400s and 460s at home and a couple of those Eagles and,
Oh yeah.
some of those larger caliber things. And there's nothing like like an X-frame revolver or
Mhm.
like a 454 Cazul even,
I like the 454 because
Well, what's really nice too is you have the 460. When you
Mhm.
get the 460, you can shoot 45 long
40.
Colt, 454 Cazul, and the 460 out
Yep.
of it. And the 460 hunting wise shoots flat like a 308, but the weight of the round
just
is
got a hell of a kick,
hell of a
or
big
hell of a
round.
punch.
So I mean that's what's really really cool about that.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, they only the only X-frames that Smith and Wesson made were the 500 and the 460. Now they make it in the 350 Legend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'd like to get a hold of one of those just because I like the X-frames.
Sure.
I heard that it's actually not bad to shoot because it's not a ton of recoil in the
Right.
350 Legend. But I thought that would be really, really neat. They make, probably back to the 4570. There's a couple companies that make 4570 revolvers too.
Right.
They're just big. So, for example,
Jesus.
BFR made them, and then there was also a company that made them in like single action, looked like kind of like a single action army kind
Yeah.
of thing, but it was bigger.
Yeah.
And they made those in 45
Mm.
70 as well. So that would be really cool. Like I said, I like some of the bigger revolvers.
Yeah, I get it. I
So,
get it.
and stuff like that. To me, this is kind of fun. There was another company that used to make Derringers, and I know they still make them, but I don't know if they make this one. It was called Atomic or something. But they made a single shot. It was 7.62 by 39.
Holy Jesus.
So, AK round. It was
Yeah.
in it. And I shot one of those in a shoot can,
Yeah, no.
like a test can.
Yeah.
And the top of it was ported, and it burned my hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would imagine.
That thing was atrocious. Now,
Oh, that's twice.
did that break the cheers? It's breaking
I
out
don't
like
know.
crazy. Maybe
Yeah.
you just had to stay low.
I can't do it.
So, what was really, but the reality was that round wasn't doing shit ballistically
Oh, yeah.
because
You have no rifle.
there was
to
no,
it.
well, there was no length. I mean,
Yeah.
it shot out like 2 inches and then just blows up. But what would happen is, he said, so the more flash you have, it's because your powders are waiting to exit
Oh,
to
yeah.
burn. So most of the burn is happening outside
Yeah.
of the barrel.
Looks like
So
a
it wasn't
dragon's
getting the
breath.
velocity. But I could only imagine, like, if you shot that thing at night, like what
Oh,
it
yeah.
would look like. That's another thing too. Like some of the North American arms, they'll have their little 80-meter revolvers,
Right.
and they make those in like 45 mag, or
Yeah.
45 mag, 22 mag.
22 mag, yeah.
And people always, people, it's so stupid. The barrel's an inch long. What are you gonna do? Let me tell you what. Two things. 22 mag's no joking around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doing some. It's really powerful.
Right.
First off. Second off, when that thing goes off in the middle of the night, in the middle of an alley or whatever, it's going to be so loud and so big from this thing that doesn't even exist.
Yep.
And then they're going to have 4 or 5 rounds
Right.
of it just to cook off. So that's kind of the idea. Like, I remember there was some of the really lightweight, like Scandium revolvers and stuff that Smith would make, like, atomic lights and all these things and all this crazy stuff. And you get a 44 that weighed like nothing. And you go,
Yeah.
God, who shoots this? Yeah, I would want to shoot it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have it just because it's cool and to carry it'd be neat. But let me tell you what, you don't have to hit anybody.
Right.
Because the first time you fire this thing off, it's all ported.
Yeah.
There's so much noise and everything. Everybody's gone.
You're
Like,
done.
why would you stay to something like that?
Right.
So, that's one of those things. And I kind of put these a little bit in that same kind of scenario.
Right.
This is not. I don't think. I've never shot one, honestly.
Right.
From this man, from Bond Arms, but I feel like it's probably not the easiest thing to shoot. We
It
don't
wouldn't
have,
be with your paws, I'm
we don't-
sure.
We don't have a lot of grip.
You don't. I do.
You really gotta.
There's no aiming, dude. And if you put a 410 shell in there, you're just pointing and shooting.
I feel like I'm putting it down with the sights, but I guess it's not. No, my wrist holds it really high.
Yep.
Ugh. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you get into some of those little frame guns. It becomes really, really tricky.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
But
I love it.
no, I think that thing, with a little bit of practice and figuring out where to pull on the trigger, you might be better off. But it's one of those things where, you might just have to mess with it a bit. But it's
Yeah, I
cool.
would think so.
I mean, they're really neat. I like the idea behind
Um,
them. I like the interchangeable barrels. I like that they have all the different calibers and things like that. It's just a really, really neat idea.
So they're both for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Are they for sale?
Not the
No.
Grizzly.
I couldn't hear you.
No.
Not the Grizzly.
Okay, so the Grizzly's not, but the Beretta is.
They're both gone.
Oh, really?
Nothing stays on.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was quick. Well, I hadn't been in there in a while because I was sick, but
No, I mean it's like the second someone comes in. So nothing moved this week because of Virginia State System's been down.
yeah.
So everything's just sitting for the last 2 days.
And that just so everybody knows, the Virginia State background check system, what's it called?
VSP.
VSP has been down for a couple of days.
Yeah, it came up a little bit today, I think she said.
Yeah, but,
Not
so,
enough time for us to run anything.
yeah, so background checks are on hold
Because there
for-
was a fire.
to the foreseeable future, so,
Yeah, there was a fire suppression issue.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how that happens.
Yeah.
Somebody hacked their computer.
Anyway,
But yeah, no. So that's the two guns for today.
Cool.
They're pretty cool. I don't mind talking about the guns. I think it's really fun
Yeah.
thing to do like
I
that.
think other people like it too, so,
If you're watching and there's anything particular, I don't have a library of every gun in the world, but if there was something that you wanted us to talk about, then I might have it. Might
Right.
be able to bring it out. Might take I can bring it
yeah,
home.
you
Or,
can email us at info@thehuntingquest.com,
Mhm.
or you can call shop.
or if you could call the shop and tell Anna what gun you want to talk about.
Yeah. You can ask Anna. You're not going to tell Anna anything, but you can ask her.
That's true. That's very true. Except for Mondays, we're not open on Mondays now.
Yeah.
We changed up the hours a little bit.
That's cool.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, no. So, So if you want to do something else with a different gun,
Yeah.
have any ideas? We're just pulling stuff off the shelves, or stuff that's in the back, or stuff that's waiting. On transfers and things like that we have. Messing around. And two, also, if you had interest in this, like if you were like, oh, I'd really like to buy. I think these are actually like available in stock again.
Oh, okay.
They were a little bit.
Man, those are some big boys.
The Grizzly one, I think, was a little bit harder to find, but I mean, they're back in stock. But I mean, I think really quick, their marketing idea is that you can get all different calibers.
Yeah, you can change the barrels out to whatever
And
you want to change
I
out to.
feel like.
I don't know.
45, 357. Oh, here we go. So in 2.5-inch barrel, they make 389, 10 millimeter.
That's kind of cool.
357, 38, 40, 45 ACP, 45 long colt. Wow. In 3-inch, they make 40, 380, 327 fed, 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 357, 38, 44, 40, 44 special, 44 40, 45 ACP, 45 gap, 45 long colt,
About they covered the 45 market.
4.5, 410. And then they have a 6 inches along this one. And that's limited availability. And you can buy all of them off the sheet. And they have a bunch of different versions of them. But they're really cool. I mean, that's
really slick.
a bunch of them.
They look cool.
But that shows you, different grips and different. I mean, that's that one on the
I
top.
like the Derringer style, though. I'm a big fan.
I think the one on the top is the
That's a
6-inch barrel one. But I feel like they all have different grips and some of their, so they got palmer ones on the bottom and bead blast ones and the silver
Cool.
ones. So it's pretty neat stuff. So, like I said, if you have any interest in anything like that, they're available. We can order them. So,
I'm getting the kill sign here. We've been on for too long.
I don't care what Anna tells us right now. We're getting off anyways. Getting off anyways.
Anyway.
So, all right. Well, that's about it for today. Most important thing is to put the desk back. So,
It keeps the moisture down.
so today was more of
It's
the
kind of a BS
talk about private treasure and diving quest show,
review of what we did last year.
fishing and stuff like that.
How the podcast came about.
And then also if that, maybe that stuff interests you. I mean, there's a bunch of that cool stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that far off of kilts of what we normally do.
Yeah.
So, but
I think we can just talk about pretty much whatever we want to. It's our podcast.
pretty much. Everybody's like, I want to talk about fishing and hunting. We both talked about. We did. We did talk about hunting. We talked about everything.
So,
All right.
all right, folks.
That's it. Have a good one.
Yeah. Take somebody out hunting and fishing. It's a little cold for fishing, but get a kid out there.
I don't know. It's been like 6 degrees right now.
Yeah. Check out.
I still don't think they're active though.
Yeah. And check out Virginia Wildlife. Their grant program is out. If y'all are looking at doing grant, you're looking to try to do something with the grant work or something like that through Virginia Wildlife, the Department of Wildlife Resources.
Frederick County is having the bass fishing tournament. Trout
fishing tournament. Yeah.
tournament coming up. We'll get the information on that. I think we're going to sponsor that a little bit too.
That's cool.
Give us some stuff. So I will get the information on that because that's a big thing. Because it's really cool. It's good for the kids. Also, I want to talk about, because I've done it the last 2 times, is that Percival Eats has good sandwiches. And I didn't get a sandwich the last couple of weeks, but
Percival Eats.
Percival Eats, good sandwiches.
And they didn't even pay us for
They haven't paid me out. They can pay me in sandwiches. And remember, most important thing of all is that you be able to skin a buck
Yep, absolutely.
or run a trout line. All right, that's all we got. Have a good one.
All right, everybody. Bye now.